To get us started making our empanadas, we're going to take our ground beef or ground turkey, and in a skillet, you're going to cook it on a stovetop until it's all the way cooked through. Remember, for safety reasons, you never want your skillet pan handle to be in front of you. You always want it at the side to hold there. You never want it in front because then you might accidentally tip it and it could spill. We don't want to make sure you're very safe. So when it's almost cooked through, you can start to add your spices. And I'm adding 1 teaspoon of cumin. And cumin is this amazing Spanish spice. You see it a lot in Mexican food, Cuban food. It just adds so much flavor. It's so good. You probably don't even know what's in there when you're having Mexican food, but it is just a real subtle spice. If you or your family love spicy, you can actually add some tapatio, which is very spicy. I'm not adding this because I don't like spicy. So my poor family, they all like spicy, and I never put spice in things. So they always have this in my refrigerator so they can add it to it. All right, when this is all the way cooked through, I'm gonna set this aside and start to dice up my onions and tomatoes. It's good to let meat sit a little bit after you cook it before you actually eat it. Brings out the flavor. All right, let's get to dicing our tomatoes and onions. Cutting vegetables, you always want to make sure you have a towel nearby to keep your hands dry, and then always wash your vegetables and dry them before you cut. You never want to cut your vegetables with actually wet vegetables because it will make your hands slip, and we don't want that, right? So the best way to cut vegetables is to always create a flat surface. So what I'm going to do is just take that end off, and then do you see how now I have a flat surface? It's not roly-poly like here. And then I can cut again, get another flat surface, and now I can do my smaller cuts, but I now have a flat surface. And you want to make sure you keep your hands away the best you can from your, and just try to dice it up, okay? Another trick is when you have it on the flat surface, go ahead and take a fork and poke at the end and hold that. That way your fingers are not anywhere near the actual vegetable. And I want you to first have your parents cut off the edges. So you cut off this side because we have to peel the onion first. So you're just going to put that aside. And this is, you're just going to peel, take your nails and just peel it off. There's a layer of protection there on the onion. Okay. I'm gonna grab my little dump bowl. Always want the things I don't need in the recipe away. And then we're going to go ahead and cut. And again, we're going to get our flat surface. If you need to use your fork, go ahead and poke your fork in, hold on to it, and then just slice. We're gonna dice these up. The nice thing about onions is they've already got the little dicing part in there. When you get to the fork, you can just leave that alone. Go ahead and get your fork back in, and you're just gonna do small little cuts to make these little dicing, okay? And then if you don't wanna use a fork, just very carefully with your fingers, away from the knife. Make sure your fingers are away. You gotta keep your eye on it at all times. Never look away when you're using a knife. Okay, so you wanna add your tomatoes and your onions to your meat mixture and let that cook for another 5 minutes. And then set it aside so you're ready to roll out your dough. All right, it's time to make our empanada circles. So we're just gonna put a little bit of flour on a board or a counter, and you're going to take out your pie crust that you bought at the grocery store. It's the easiest way to do this. And then take a little bit of flour, put it on top. Take your hands and massage and you're just gonna roll this out to make it a little bit thinner, because you don't want a really thick empanada, because what you really want is that meat and cheese and the tomatoes and the onions and all that inside. Okay, now with your empanada cutter, you're just going to make some cuts and try to get it as close as you can so that you're not wasting the dough. You can reuse the dough. Just pull it on in a ball again and roll it out. It's a little puzzle here. I'm trying to figure out, can I get like just one more here? Then I have another one here. If you want to make more, then buy another. You're going to need another. You're going to lay them on a pan with parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, then just lightly oil your pan. And now we're ready to add meat. All right, now that all of your circles are on your baking sheet, and you can actually put more empanadas on here to bake. We're just needing to put these on here right now. Just a little bit so that it folds over well. And then a tiny little bit of cheese, nice and melted on there. And then carefully bring it up and pinch together like this. Fold it back down. Now it's starting to look like an elephant ear. And then taking a fork, you're just going to press down to hold all of it in while it bakes. Okay? And when you're done with that, we're going to take a little bit of oil with a pastry brush, or you can use your fingers or a spatula just to dust the top. This will give it some browning on the top that makes it look just so delicious. All right, let's finish these up. Are all done. I just need to brush the oil on the tops of them. I'm setting my oven to 425 degrees, and these will bake in the oven for about 12 minutes. It's pretty quick. Since the meat's already cooked, we don't have to worry about that. It's really just getting this crust golden and to melt the cheese. Don't these look like elephant ears? I love these. So cute.